Hi, my name's John Goldsby. You're about to watch a lesson from my course. It's available exclusively at discoverdouble-bass.com. Check out the link below. So let's talk about a bass line on the jazz standard Killer Joe. Killer Joe was written in 1960 by Benny Golson, a saxophone player, and we first heard the tune on the Benny Golson Art Farmer Jazz Tet album called Meet the Jazz Tet. The bass player was Addison Farmer, that's Art Farmer's brother. So Addison Farmer played the original recording of Killer Joe. And everyone plays Killer Joe, from jazz workshops to jam sessions. I hear Christian McBride playing Killer Joe often when he plays with his trio. It's one of those jazz standards that's going to endure for many years. So let's look at this etude that I wrote on Killer Joe. The etude starts with a standard bass line in the first 8 bars. So you often hear people playing something like this on the first 2 bars. So that's how my etude starts. Down the octave. So that's the first 8 bars. You hear in the last 2 bars, bars 7 and 8, I play a little drop. The first drop is a dotted 8th 16th. The second drop I marked as 2 8th notes. To me, there's a subtle difference between 2 swing 8th notes and a dotted 8th 16th feel. Let's look at the second A section, bar 9. It starts with a triad, then an inversion of B flat, now that's a typical Ray Brown lick or a drop from the top of the bass to the bottom of the bass. Ray Brown recorded Killer Joe with Quincy Jones in 1969 on the album Walkin' in Space. That's a killer version of the tune. And Ray Brown is known for his strong walking lines, but also for his rhythmic embellishments. You see in measure 13, 14, 15, there's another triplet drop from the top of the C7 chord. So that's C7, C7, C, triad. So here's the second 8 bars, starting at bar 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the bridge starts on an E minor 7 flat 5, and you see what I did here. I played the E diminished triad, and then I played the 7th of the E minor 7 flat 5, the note D, and I resolve to the 3rd of the A7. E flat minor, A flat 7, A7, A flat 7, E minor. So in the last bar of the B section, I play a little drop from the A7. I play two notes on the A, or 2 times on the A, and rake over to the E, and then the C sharp. The last A has a couple of rhythmic variations in the first bar, bar 25. So that goes C, open G string, E, D sharp E, open G, D, B flat, open G. So I use the open G a lot to get from the top of the bass to the bottom of the bass. Last line. So let's look at the drop that's 2 bars from the end of the form. It starts on a high G, the 3rd of the C7, the note E, G harmonic, E, a C on the D string, B flat, open G, E, C, B flat, G, E. Now that's also a typical Ray Brown style drop. He loved to play from the top of the bass and play triplets and crash land on the bottom of the bass. And he, if you listen to Ray Brown a lot, you'll hear that he always lands on his feet. So here's the entire bass line once through. Now let's hear how that sounds with the trio.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One, two, 1, 2, 3.
I hope you really enjoyed the lesson. If you're interested in the course, check out the link below.